Hey you guys, what's up? It's Rocketdust54 here, and welcome to the 6th episode of Criterion Roulette. Now this episode of Criterion Roulette is going to go a little bit differently. This is something that I'm calling the friendship episode, and what that is I'm basically going to be having all four of my main friends. They're going to each recommend a title, and I'm going to watch them and give my thoughts on them. Normally the thing I normally do with Criterion Roulette is I do one that I choose, one that a friend chooses, and then I put a random spine number into I could get like a random number generator of all the spine numbers, and then I pick that one. Sorry, it seemed like maybe my light is flickering. If it does, I'm sorry. I don't know why it's doing that. Anyway, so as I said, this episode is going to be different because I'm getting all four of my main friends to each recommend a title, and I am going to be starting off the episode with the one that my friend Chris chose for me, and that is Vampyr, released in 1932, directed by Carl Theodor Dreyer. This will have been, I believe, the second oldest film I will have ever seen. The oldest film I've ever seen is actually Charlie Chaplin's The Kid, which turned 100 this year, believe it or not. I don't know too much about this one. I'm pretty sure I've like heard the title itself before. Um, but yeah, I don't know too much about it. This is a German movie, and I'm pretty sure it's a silent movie, if I'm not mistaken, because this is old, like it's from 1932. But Chris was saying that this was a very, very cool movie. He said there was a very like unique way they shot it with like I forget the exact word he said. I think he said some kind of like gauze filter or something is what they did to like put over the camera or whatever to make it look really hazy and cool. Um, but yeah, hopefully this will be a pretty good one. This is a very, very thick Criterion, as you can see. Like, it's got the movie right there, and it says "Writing Vampyr" in here, which I don't think that's a whole other film because it says it. I knew we'd normally say that on the special features here, but it says that there's like a lot of like booklet kind of stuff in here. But yeah. So let's take a look and see what's inside here, and then we will pop this in. All right, guys, so just as I'm editing this here, I realized I forgot to give you a transition to why Chris chose Vampyr for this episode, so I am going to throw you over to him right now with a brief explanation of why he picked Vampyr for this episode.
I'm choosing Vampyr because it's more of like a lesser known but great vampire film. I guess not lesser known, but not a lot of people I see talk about it. And maybe I like it so much just because, like, I don't know, maybe there's just some nostalgia to it. To when I was a kid, and I saw it on this, like, old movie channel, and I don't know, I just liked it because it was, like, super cheesy. Um, in like the way that it used, like, title cards and old-timey music, and there was this really cool technique where they put gauze like an inch away from the camera to give it this like hazy look, and I dug it, yeah, a lot. Yeah, so that's why.
All right, so here is the front cover, and then here is the back of it. And guys, look at what is in here. So when I said writing Vampyr, that doesn't seem like it's going to be another film. This is the whole screenplay to the movie. Um it says that on the back here. It says a book featuring Dreyer and Kristen Jewell's original screenplay. I thought that maybe that this thing, because see, it says like Criterion on the spine here, so I thought maybe this was maybe like a documentary about the making of it, and maybe the book inside it was going to be the screenplay. But no, this is like the whole thing right here. Like, wow, that is just absolutely amazing. And then there's the inside case. When you open that up, there's a second booklet here, and then there is the disc. But yeah, so hopefully this will be a pretty good one, and let's pop this in, see what I think. All right, now one of the special features on this Criterion is that there is an English text version of the film, which Criterion is saying that says the director relied heavily on written text that fills the frame, and subtitles can be hard to read or see against the background. So they've prepared a version of the movie which the screen text has been digitally replaced with an English translation. I don't know which one I'll end up going with. I'm gonna just start the original version of the movie. Um, by the end of this, like when I give you my thoughts on the movie, I'll let you know which version I ended up watching. But yep, let's get this one started. Alright, you guys, so I just finished watching Vampyr, and I gotta say, I definitely liked it overall. It had some, like, really, really cool imagery and cinematography. Like, there's some scenes in here that are just, like, straight out of a nightmare that look really, really nice. Um, it's normally this would have been something I would have given like a 3 out of 5, but I'm giving it a 3.5 because it's just so entertaining and well made. One of my favorite things about this film is really like how well done the visual effects were. Like there's one in particular in here that made me go like, holy shit, how did they pull this off back in 1932? Because there's a lot of like really cool like camera tricks and editing tricks in this. Um, I will say I think the first half was definitely better. And it does feel longer than it is, I will say. But I definitely recommend this if if you want to see like some old classic horror that was definitely very ahead of its time, I think. If you just feel like respecting the horror genre, this is definitely a good one to watch. I could like totally see this being an inspiration to David Lynch because I got like a lot of David Lynch vibes in here. Obviously, this came out before he was even born, but yeah, no, I definitely say this is a good movie. As I said, I would give it a 3.5 out of 5. Um, yeah, again, I still can't believe it literally comes with the whole screenplay. Like, that's really cool. Um, but yeah, so that is it for the first film for this episode of Criterion Roulette. It's Friday right now. I might do the second film on Sunday because the second film is very long, and tomorrow I'm not going to have as much time to get that one watched. Maybe, who knows? But yeah, so I will see you guys soon in the video's case when I will be watching the second episode. So I will see you guys then. All right, guys, it is now a couple days after I watched Vampyr, and I'm going to be watching the second film for this episode of Criterion Roulette. And I didn't say this when I was like in the part where I was talking about what I thought of Vampyr. I ended up watching the original version of the film, which was just with the German text on the screen with the subtitles below. It actually wasn't that hard to read, but I think for future I would definitely watch it with the English text just for simplicity. But the second film I'm going to be watching for this episode of Criterion Roulette is one that my friend Nathan recommended for me, and that is Blue is the Warmest Color, released in 2013, directed by Abdellatif Kechiche. I've heard many, many, many great things about this movie, like saying that it's like one of the best love stories of the 2010s. I've seen like a few parts from it, but I've never actually seen the whole thing. I'm not quite sure. I think I may know how it ends, but I don't know if that was actually the ending or if there was like something else after it. I just know of one scene that seems like it could be the ending, but yeah, I'm not quite sure, but I'm definitely excited to watch this. As I said, I've heard nothing but amazing things about it. So let's take a look inside this one and let's see how it is. All right, so here is the front of the case, and there's the back. And one thing I noticed on this Criterion that's very, very strange, because I've normally never seen this with any other Criterion, there is like no special features on here at all. Like the only feature is a trailer and TV spot. That as well as the booklet that's in here. I've never seen that. Normally they like really load Criterions up with features. I think the one with like the least amount of like disc features is, I mean, Vampyr doesn't have that many, but originally I remember thinking Election didn't have that many, but then I actually like got into it more and realized like it actually had more than I thought. But yeah, so that's what it looks like on the outside, and then on the inside, it looks really nice actually. I really like the disc design for that, like the colors of the blue and the white, and there's the booklet it comes with. And this was also kind of a hard Criterion Blu-ray to find because even before this episode, I tried looking for the Blu-ray of this on Amazon, and they always only ever had the DVD Criterion, never the Blu-ray one. You'd have to like there would be people selling it on there, but they would be like, charging way too much. Nathan got lucky in finding this at a used store, I think for like $30, but I ended up finding this new sealed copy on eBay for 40, so that's how I ended up getting it. And then behind the disc is a really nice looking shot there. I really like the look of the inside of this case. The colors all like bounce off of each other very well. Um, but yeah, so now I'm actually going to throw you over to Nathan, who is going to give an explanation about why he chose this for the episode, and then we're going to get this started.
Alrighty, so Liam once again picked me for Criterion Roulette, and I've been wanting him to see this film for a while, so I'm glad he chose me for this, and that is a Blue is the Warmest Color. There we go, glare. Blue is the Warmest Color, released in 2013. When it comes to romance films in general, I find there's two ends of the spectrum for me. Either it's going to be a film like a Hallmark movie where it's very pretentious, not pretentious, pretentious isn't the right word, very predictable, that's what I'm going to say. Very predictable and formulaic, and you know what's going to happen. Or it can be films like Blue is the Warmest Color. And these are the kind of romance films I really, really love. Films where you legitimately do feel like a fly on the wall, like Portrait of a Lady on Fire, Call Me by Your Name, and definitely this film. I find it impressive that for a 3-hour movie, I really don't think there's a single scene in this movie that needs to be cut out of the film. Everything feels necessary and purposeful. The two actresses are fucking brilliant. They gave such incredible performances. Especially the lead girl. I'm not going to bother trying to pronounce her name because I know I'm going to botch it. But she did a great job. She was excellent. And the film, it's one of those 3-hour films where I can go back and watch it multiple times because I really did resonate and connect with these characters. It all felt so real and visceral. It never felt preachy or pretentious in any way. There was a lot of explicit sex scenes in this film, but at the heart of it, it really is a story of first love and then the heartbreak of that first love not working out. So, it is one of those films where it shows the stages of a relationship. And that's really what I love about it. It shows the stages of first discovering your sexuality, and second, of your first love, of really your first real relationship. And it's truly a film that I would call beautiful. It really is a beautiful story. And it does tackle homophobia, which I think is, yeah, it should have talked about it, but it's never the big story. It really is. The big story is the relationship, but it is touched upon. It is shown. And I think everything in this film is handled so well. The direction feels very up close as well. Very claustrophobic. There isn't really a shot that isn't like a close-up. And if it is, it's very little of them. When it's character moments, when it's people talking, it's very much an extreme close-up on the actors or actresses' faces. And I really do love the way this film was put together and directed. So yeah, hopefully you really do dig this, Liam, and I can't wait to hear your thoughts on it.
All right, you guys, so I just finished watching Blue is the Warmest Color, and man, this was an amazing movie. Like, first of all, the two actresses, Lea Seydoux and Adele Exarchopoulos. What else am I even supposed to say? Like, my God, they were fantastic in this movie. Like they felt like they had absolutely no fear at all. Like they committed so much to this. Geez, I'm trying to like think of words to say because there's so much to say about this. Like the direction is phenomenal. Like the thing is this movie has like a firm grasp on you for the full 3 hours because this is a long movie. It is 3 hours long, and it has a firm grasp on you the whole time. And it's not easy for a 3 hour movie to do that. There's very, very few that can actually have that on you. I will say, I don't really think this felt like 3 hours. I just kind of felt the time blow by, kind of like how I felt with Barry Lyndon. The thing is, like, interestingly enough, probably my favorite 3 hour movie, which is The Wolf of Wall Street, I did feel those 3 hours, interestingly enough, but when the movie's as entertaining as that, who really cares? But as I was saying, this film has like a firm grasp on you for 3 full hours, and in a lot of ways, it gets right to the point and doesn't really waste any time, which can be kind of risky because at first it was a bit jarring to me, like seeing it. I'm like, it's actually a little bit like fast. I was thinking there'd be a little bit more build up to this, but Abdellatif Kechiche just like took a really bold move and it ended up working out for the better, I think. I think like definitely after, I don't know, maybe the first act, you definitely like geez, I'm trying to I forgot the names for a sec of the characters. Like Adele and Emma's relationship is like really expanded upon. I think once you get after the first act. And of course, I can't talk about this movie and not mention the very long and very explicit sex scenes, which I think they were very, very purposeful in making them as graphic and as long as they were. Um, because, like, if you really, really, really want to show a relationship. If you really want to show this and you really don't want to hold anything back, you really should show all the specifics because they do with the sex scenes in this movie, they do not cut corners. They don't leave anything up to the imagination. Let's just say this movie's rated NC-17 for a reason. But so few filmmakers will actually get really into that. Like Lars von Trier is really the only other filmmaker I can think of that does that. I mean, albeit in his movies it's for a much different reason than this. But I wish more filmmakers would do that because it's like let's be real, like sex is on everyone's minds. It's on everybody's minds. Like, we all think about it. Most of us do it. Just a lot, it's still considered kind of a taboo subject. People don't really talk about it in depth, but it's like, we all know behind closed doors, we probably do really, really nasty and explicit things. And, this film shows stuff like that. And I think as I said, if you're showing a movie about a relationship, I think more movies should show that because this movie is really raw and real and honest and is a really beautiful portrait of coming of age and the abandonment of youth, really. I will say there's a bit of a brief lull in between the second and third acts, I think, or maybe around halfway through. Um, and there's one event that's referenced in the film that was never shown nor talked about. So when it's brought up, you're like, wait a minute, what? That happened? Like, when were they going to tell us that? Okay, actually, I can't remember the next point I was going to make. I feel like there was another, like, issue I had with the movie, but I can't even really remember it right now for some reason. But even given those, like, really two kind of minor flaws, this is a truly amazing movie. I can't recommend this enough. This seems like something that's going to be on my mind for a while. Like, I have a feeling this could have a similar effect that Y Tu Mama Tambien had on me, which, holy shit, the ending to that movie. Oh, I remembered what I was gonna say now. One thing, this wasn't actually a problem I had with the movie. This was one of the best parts of it. The climax of this movie is so well directed. Now, I'll be honest. I know the reason why it was so well done, and it's not necessarily because of good things, because apparently the director he didn't treat the actresses as well as he should have, but, with that aside, the climax of this movie is a really, really incredible scene. Stuff that's, like a scene that so few directors can really reach. the level of. And then there's another scene kind of closer to the end. It's not a climax, but it is not the climax, but it's a bit of like falling action, and it was nice to see because I was like, oh, after this, I feel like nothing all that exciting will happen after this. But I was wrong. There's another scene in here that definitely had me pretty tense. But yeah, absolutely love this film. I cannot recommend this enough. Please watch this if you haven't seen it. I'm actually just kind of disappointed that it took me this long to see it because I remember, as I said, I had seen parts from this when I was like really young, like 13 or something like that. I had seen a couple parts from this. But I think the reason why I didn't watch it is just because of its runtime. Like it's exactly 3 hours long. And I think that's really the only reason I didn't want to watch it because I didn't think I'd be able to pay attention for 3 hours. It was probably that, and the fact that I was worried I'd become a blubbering mess by the end of it, which I didn't. But as I said, can't recommend this enough. Please watch this if you haven't seen it. I would give this a very good 4 out of 5. Thank you very much, Nathan, for the recommendation. I'm very happy I finally watched this. Um, but yeah, so I'm not too sure when I'll see you guys next for the third criterion of this episode. Obviously, as you guys know, I probably don't even have to keep explaining this, but um, like in the video's case, it'll just be in a couple seconds. But I don't know when I'm going to be doing the third film because this Criterion Roulette episode has 4 films instead of 3. It's a little more expensive to do, so I was decided to break it up by doing Vampyr and Blue is the Warmest Color first, and then taking a little bit of a break, and then doing excuse me, and then doing John and Christian's films at the end. Just to break it up, give me a bit of a break and not have to spend as much money all at once. So I don't know when I'll see you guys next, but I will see you guys soon when I see the third and fourth films really for the episode, which I am very excited to see. So I will see you guys then, and please watch Blue is the Warmest Color. Alright guys, so it is now a few days after I finished watching Blue is the Warmest Color. I ordered the last 2 criterions. I said I was going to give myself a bit of room before I ordered the last 2. They didn't come in until today. I was hoping and kind of planning they would come in sooner, but they came in today, and I am now going to be watching the film that my friend John recommended for this episode. And that is Belle de Jour, released in 1967, directed by Luis Buñuel. I think I pronounced that right. At first, I thought it was a Spanish film because I'm pretty sure Luis and Buñuel is a Spanish name, if I'm not mistaken. But this film is actually in French. I found out it says it right there. I read the plot summary on the back, and it sounds pretty interesting. I have not seen a Luis Buñuel film before. Um, and one thing that me and John do is every time I do a Criterion Roulette episode, I give him 3 Criterion films to watch, whether it be one I choose or one that's random. And he doesn't like do like a YouTube video on it, but he just like watches them on his own time and tells me what he thinks. And I think one of the random ones I drew was one of Luis Buñuel's films, and he said that he was really looking forward to seeing that because he made this short film called Un Chien Andalou, which I still haven't seen. It's a short film. It's only like 21 minutes long, and he said it's really, really good, and that it's like essential because it was like one of the first real like art films or something like that. Um, but yeah, no, this sounds the plot summary on the back is kind of vague, but at the same time it like does give you, it seems to give you kind of an understanding what it's about. I really like this cover too. It looks really cool. But yeah, so hopefully I'll be in for a good film. As I said, this is an old one, 1967. But yeah, hopefully this will be pretty good. We're gonna take a look inside this one, and then we are going to pop it in. All right, so here is the front cover. As I said, I really like this cover. It looks really, really nice, really good artwork on there. And then there's the back. And then on the inside, there's the disc, and there's the booklet. It's a bit of a thicker one than they normally put in these just basic, just regular cases. But yeah, so now I am going to throw you over to John, who is going to give a brief explanation as to why he picked this film for the episode, and then we're gonna pop this in and see how it is.
Hey Liam, what's up? Thanks for including me again in this friend recommendation portion of your episode of Criterion Roulette. Regarding the film, the reason I picked Belle de Jour is because it is a very interesting film that I think you particularly would enjoy. The director, Louis Buñuel, was very well known for being boundary pushing and taking things to new levels in his styles of filmmaking. A lot of the elements that made his film stand out, I can't really say because I don't want to spoil anything for you, but I will promise you that watching his films is an experience unlike any other. And I think that this film, specifically considered one of his best, will leave you with lots of things to think about, and um, there will definitely be things that you will want to think about and like talk about, and multiple viewings will definitely be beneficial for this film. So I hope you enjoy it.
All right, you guys. So I just finished watching Belle de Jour, and this was a good movie. Like, this is one I'm probably going to be thinking about for a little while, and this is also one that I feel like would just get better and better with each viewing. Like, I'll admit it starts off a little slow, but I definitely think it's a pretty rewarding movie if you stick around. The opening scene definitely grabs your attention right away. That's the thing, like throughout the movie, there's certain sequences that pop up every so often where I'm like, wait a minute, well, what is this? Like this doesn't fit with the rest of the movie. Is it real? Is it not? Is this just like in her imagination? Like what's going on? But by the end of the movie, everything is all tied up, except for like one little thing. There's one thing I'm still unsure about, but yeah, by the end of the movie, I was like, oh, now I get it. And it was a pretty effective ending as well, I think. Yeah, Catherine Deneuve was really good in this one. There were certain scenes that just really struck a chord with me that were just so, what's the word? They were so, like, they were really well directed, and you just, I can't even really, I can't find the words to say it, but there was just certain scenes that you would just be watching and they would just like draw you in and you just like you'd just be like marveling at what was going on. Like most notably, like it was like most notably the scenes where like the what's the bordello, it's a bordello is what they call it in the movie, like most notably in the bordello when the clients are coming in and you see like what the girls are doing to the clients. It was mostly those. Like I just found myself going like, whoa, like this is, it's really just enveloping you, and just like, you know, like I had to like snap myself out of it. I'm like, oh right, I'm watching a movie here. Like it was just very, it was very entrancing actually. Like it's a very hard thing to describe without actually seeing the film itself. Um, but yeah, no, I definitely like this. Definitely has me wanting to check out more of Luis Buñuel's films. I definitely say this was pretty artsy, I would say. It's actually no, it's a little bit artsy. I would actually, now that I think about it, it's not like hugely artsy, but there's elements of it that are. I think probably for 1967, this was probably considered a very artsy movie, but if you compare it to like stuff now, probably not as much. From what my friend John was telling me, that Luis Buñuel's short film Un Chien Andalou was apparently very important and influential and known as a classic in terms of art house film. Yeah, no, I like this. I would definitely recommend it. As I said, it's a little bit slow at the start, but I think, you know, if you're the type of person who can appreciate a less is more filming technique, which is what this one does very well, because sometimes it can turn out for the worse and you find yourself going, nothing happened. But With this one, that wasn't the case. I really just thought that that technique worked very well. I would give this a 3.5 out of 5. Part of me still a little bit like unsure of what to rate it, but I know I at least liked it enough to give it a 3.5 out of 5, which is a pretty good rating. Yeah, so I definitely like this, would recommend it, and I will see you guys. I'm not quite sure when, maybe tomorrow or the next day when I'll be watching the final film for this episode, so I will see you guys then. Alright guys, so I am now going to be watching the fourth and final film for this episode of Criterion Roulette. This is the one that my friend Christian recommended for me, and that film is The Night Porter, released in 1974, directed by Liliana Cavani. I feel like I had heard of this before when Christian gave me the recommendation. I feel like I had heard about it before. I think I might have seen him log it on Letterboxd. It might even have been in my Letterboxd watch list. I have no idea. After I film this clip, I'm gonna check to see if it was, because I have so many movies in my Letterboxd watch list, and I think I probably have maybe like 2,000 or something like that in there, and I just keep on forgetting about them. But yeah, Christian said that this is he said it's a very disturbing, like not an easy watch, but he said it's a very, very good movie. I'm definitely excited to check it out. The story is incredibly interesting from what it says on the back. It's basically about a concentration camp survivor who finds out that her former lover, who was actually an SS guard who tortured her during the Holocaust, she finds out that he's working as at a hotel as a night porter. So her and him try to rekindle their relationship, but then his former SS Nazi guard friends catch wind of their relationship, and they start like stalking them and doing all this like weird shit to them. It's a very, very interesting story from what it says on the back, so I'm definitely excited to check this out. Hopefully it'll be really good. But now I'm going to throw you over to Christian, who is going to give a brief explanation as to why he chose this for the episode. Then we're going to take a look at this, and we're going to pop it in and see how it is.
Hello, Christian here again, now in my college dorm room as I'm getting ready for film school, and with my Criterion recommendation for this episode being The Night Porter. And this is one I was actually debating to recommend for my first one, when I recommended Blowout, but thought it was maybe too much of a odd pick for Liam to go right ahead, but after seeing he enjoyed Blowout, I thought why not to take the risk and recommend The Night Porter, which is a film that shocked me in a lot of ways, especially with the plot, which is something that you can absolutely never do today, nor like 20 years ago. And it definitely was released, I believe, the 70s. That's like the only era I can see you actually doing this, maybe like earlier on. But like for any other era, you cannot absolutely make this movie again. It deals with a lot of explicit subject matter. It's not afraid to really grind its teeth into it, and it's very unapologetic about it, which is my favorite thing about this movie. It's just that like it's already ballsy and dangerous enough that this exists, and that it's pulled off so well. Like, I love the mood of it. I love where the relationship goes in this film, and it's just a heavily impactful watch for me. So I hope you really enjoy this one, Liam. I really do. And if you don't, then I don't blame you, because again, this movie is really, really goddamn heavy, and it's not going to be for everybody. So I hope you enjoy this, and thanks for picking me for another recommendation.
All right, Christian, thank you very much for that explanation. And so there's the front of the case, and then there's the back. And then on the inside, there's the disc, and then here's the like little pamphlet with the I think it's just there's an essay and I guess an excerpt from an interview from 1975 with the director, but it doesn't actually have like or maybe it does, and it's just like inside here, because normally the like folded like these folded like paper ones that aren't booklets really, like these ones that are just like folded up, normally they have like a specific like image. This one doesn't. It just says the cast and crew on the front, and then a bit of an interview with the I guess the excerpt from the interview with the director on the back. But yeah, so let's pop this in and see how it is. All right, you guys, so I just finished watching The Night Porter, and honestly, I can't say I liked this one, unfortunately. I guess my main issue with it was I just don't know how you can have such a really good and interesting story and then just make it so dull and uninteresting. Like this movie's and also this movie's 2 hours. It felt longer than that. It really just dragged on. It felt to me, as I said, pretty boring for the most part. There was a couple really good scenes that I really liked that were effective. But those couple of scenes just weren't enough to make me like it. I'd say besides those scenes, the best thing about this movie, I would probably say would be the acting. I think the acting all across the board, especially from the two main people, Dirk Bogarde and Charlotte Rampling, they were very, very good. And sorry if you hear that. There's a lot of rain where I am right now. Um, but yeah, they were easily the best part of the movie. They both acted very, very well, especially Dirk Bogarde. And there's a couple like things with the direction that's really good, that is really effective. I actually, because of the rain, I ended up watching this with headphones on, which I think was actually a good way to experience it, because like some of the more dramatic or I guess more suspenseful moments were actually will actually they'll actually like make you jump a bit, because it's like you won't really like expect them if you have like earphones on, and then like when they happen you'll be like, oh god, because there's some sudden yells and jumps in this movie. I mean, it's not a horror movie, but it'll make you jump if you're wearing earphones because of the sudden yells and such. But yeah, so I think I would probably give this like a 2 out of 5. Didn't really like it all that much, but thank you again, Christian, for the recommendation, and that is going to put an end to the 6th episode of Criterion Roulette. The next episode is going to go back to the traditional way I do it. I just thought I'd do something to change things up, where I would have all of my friends recommend one. I thought this was a pretty fun one to do. I'd say definitely has some of my favorite titles that I've done in the Criterion Roulette thus far. Definitely have been watching some pretty great films since I started this series, and I've also seen some ones that have very different filmmaking styles, or like, techniques and scenes that I've never seen until now, that I didn't really know existed. So it's like even though I know a lot about movies, like my world is opening up more now that I've started this series, which is really awesome, because I love seeing like these different like ways of directing, especially in like different countries. Because like when I watched Branded to Kill in the first episode, watching the supplements on that disc and like watching the movie, it made me realize that there was like a whole other a way of filmmaking like in the 60s. Like in, I think the interview with the director on Branded to Kill basically said, like, to give you an idea of how many movies I was making, the system in, yeah, Japan, it was a Japanese movie. I was thinking it might have been Korean, but no, it was a Japanese movie. He said they wanted me to make, he said, to give you an idea of how many films I made, they wanted a double feature in cinemas every week, and the filmmaking process for these types of movies was really, really quick. It was a very, very interesting thing to learn about. That's one thing I've loved about doing this Criterion Roulette, is I learn like even more about movies. But anyways, guys, that's going to be the end of this episode. Hopefully you guys enjoyed it. Subscribe for more content. Please leave a like on the video if you enjoyed. And remember, you guys, whenever framing someone for murder, say no to drugs.